All right, here we go. AMI day 4. All right, so it says tickets to the aquarium are $11 for adults and $5. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, $6 for children at an after-school program that has a budget of $200. If the boundary line in each group represents this equation, 11x for adults, 6y for children with a budget of 200, which graph represents the cost constraint in this situation? So if you remember back, this is what we worked on right before Christmas break. This is graphing inequalities. Okay, so we have this equation right here, which is going to be really important for us to use when we're doing it, because we're trying to match which one of these graphs goes with that equation. So we have to remember, if we're ever going to take a line and graph it, it has to be solved for y. So the very first thing we're going to have to do is take that equation, 11x plus 6y equals 200. And we're going to have to solve that equation for y. Okay, that way we can see our slope and our y-intercept. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract off that 11x, subtract the 11x. 11x minus 11x, they cancel each other out. So then I'm left with 6y equals 200 minus 11x, okay? Because those are two different terms, we cannot combine them together. All right, so then we're going to divide that by 6, and we're going to divide all of this by 6. Those cancel. We have y equals 200 divided by 6. Let me get out my calculator. 200 divided by 6. That's going to be 33 1/3 minus 11 over 6x. Okay, so there is our equation. Now, if we're going to try to match that, we have to find the one where it has a y-intercept of 33 1/3, because we know the number by itself is the y-intercept, and then we know the number that's paired with my x is going to be my slope. Okay, so let's just go ahead and label those really quickly so that we can remember that. So if you're writing this on your paper or on any notes, you need to label those as well. So the number by itself is my y-intercept, and the number paired with my x is my slope. Well, the first thing I notice is that it's a negative slope, so my line should be going down, which all of my graphs are, so that didn't help me at all. Okay, the next thing I notice is that my y-intercept is at 33 1/3, which again, all of them are. Looks like all of them have the same slope as well. Okay, now going back to what we talked about at the beginning, it said we're going to be graphing inequalities. Now remember, an inequality is that greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, those signs. Okay, well, this just has an equal sign in it. Now we have to go back to what the question says. It says we have a budget of $200. So if you have a budget of $200, that means you can't spend greater than $200. That means you can spend exactly $200, or you can spend less than $200. So the inequality sign that we're going to use is the less than or equal to sign. So I'm going to go back down here to my equation, and I'm going to erase my equal sign, and I'm going to write in y is less than or equal to. So whatever amount it is has to be less than or equal to that 200. Okay, so when we're dealing with that inequality sign down here, let me change my color, that less than or equal to. Okay, so remember that equal to sign means that our line will be solid. Okay, so let me choose a color. Let's do this pretty blue. Okay, so that equal to sign underneath my inequality shows that my line is going to be solid. So the ones I can automatically mark off are A and D. These two right here. We can get rid of, you can't see that, dang it. So the ones I'm going to get rid of are that one because the line is dotted, and this one because the line is dotted. That would mean that it is not equal to. Okay, so now I'm left with this one, graph B or graph C. And we're dealing with one that is less than. So if we're talking about it being less than, then we would shade in below our line. So the one that we are left with is C. Okay, so that's how you do it. You're just going to solve it for y, find the slope, y-intercept. You would have to go back to the original question to see what you're talking about. And since, again, we were talking about a budget, then we knew it had to be less than or equal to 200. So that's where I got my inequality sign and knew that I had to shade it below my line. Okay. All right. Hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, just let me know. Miss you guys.